Hello everyone, this is Tony Tanzi, Partner Architect, Palo Alto Networks, working for Optiv Security. In this edition of the Palo Alto TechTip, I would like to discuss how to leverage the BPA and the SLR to discuss Cortex, specifically Cortex XDR. So when we run an SLR, some of the findings that we're able to see are things like file exchanges, spyware and command and control traffic, and other types of traffic like FTP. So for a customer, some of the questions we may have for them are, how would this be investigated by the customer? If they saw spyware and command and control, how would they go about investigating this? And we'll discuss this further. And in their environment, do they have the ability to see the full event context and causality of that event? So file transfer analysis. In the SLR, we get a view into what applications are being utilized to transfer different file types. Now, what if one of these file transfers was being utilized to deliver malware? How would a customer be able to investigate this in their environment? And then command and control connections. How do these happen? What's the causality behind it? And what is the full context of this event that happened? For many customers, they may have to go to many different management stations and try to stitch all of this together themselves, possibly going to an endpoint management station to get a view into what the endpoint saw, looking at their firewall logs to see what the firewall saw for this malware event, and then trying to stitch those pieces together to get the full context and the causality of how this initially happened. Utilizing Cortex XDR, we have the ability to see that full causality and context very quickly by doing an investigation. If we're utilizing the Traps endpoint solution from Palo Alto, as well as the Palo Alto firewalls, and we're logging up to the Cortex data lake, we can get a full event context and causality. So in this example, we see that there was an Outlook event, so an email. Then Chrome was opened. And within Chrome, there was an Excel spreadsheet that was opened, and then there was a PowerShell macro. And that was how this whole malware event started. So the mean time to causality and context is greatly decreased when utilizing Cortex XDR. All of the stitching happens for you automatically. And then different types of file sharing. If there was an FTP transfer, again, how do we know that maybe this FTP transfer wasn't being utilized in that malware event to deliver that malware? And then in the BPA. In the BPA, we're able to see the extent of the logging that a customer is doing. So we always want to see great logging adoption, but some of the questions that come up are, how would this customer scale the logging in their environment? Do they have to purchase additional log collectors, get those log collectors on the network, make sure they have enough cooling, rack space, and power for those log collectors? What if they just forwarded their logs to the Cortex data lake? And if they needed to scale that, they just request more log space that's automatically spun up for them. And then once that data is in the Cortex data lake, then Cortex XDR can investigate and use that data and do a lot of analysis on that data in the Cortex data lake. So great logging adoption is great to see, but we want to talk about scaling and how to leverage the Cortex data lake and Cortex XDR. One thing to note is with Cortex XDR, Palo Alto is offering 200 Traps licenses that can really initially be used for visibility. They can be deployed on an endpoint and just have the data forwarded to the data lake, not doing any prevention if you're utilizing another manufacturer's endpoint solution, but just using them as an agent, being able to forward data to the Cortex data lake. And then existing platform deployment. When we run a BPA and an SLR, we can identify whether a customer has Panorama, Wildfire. This would be the ideal customer. They are fully into utilizing the full platform, and utilizing the Cortex data lake and XDR is just an extension of that Palo Alto platform deployment in their environment. So to hear more about Cortex XDR, please reach out to your Optiv Client Manager or CSA. If not an Optiv customer, you can reach us at the following URL, www.optiv.com. Select the contact link on the top right-hand side. In our vision statement here at Optiv, create client confidence by providing high-value expertise to help security executives define and achieve success while illuminating the road ahead. Thanks for taking the time to view this Palo Alto Tech Tip. Again, my name is Tony Tanzi, Partner Architect, Palo Alto Networks, working for Optiv. Thanks again, and have a great day.